Hello everybody and welcome to the second review on the Go Big or Go Home YouTube channel, and it's for the Aspire Revvo tank. Okay, so the Aspire Revvo does come as part of the kit for the Aspire Skystar, I think it's called. On its own, we sell this tank currently for £28. It's a good little tank. I can't really knock it. There are some things that maybe stop me using it now as a daily driver, but for a good while I did. First of all, TPD. It's a 2mm tank. It's quite small, especially for something considering the coils in here. As we can see, they're rated for 80 up to 100. My Revvo drag sets it, if that'll focus, it won't. It sets it to 80, which is what it thinks it should be running at. I would agree. It's a nice vape at 80. You get plenty of flavour from this thing, and it's not too warm of a vape. One thing I have noticed as well, that's airflow wide open. You don't really feel like there's much in the way of any turbulence as it runs through. It's quite a smooth, quite an airy draw. That could be a benefit or a con. One thing, I like my RDAs, RTAs, tanks, whatever. Quite an airy draw. I don't really feel like I should work for my vape. This is the first tank I've seen since maybe the Dark Horse RDA, where I felt like it was too airy with it wide open, which is rare. I normally think it's almost like there's nothing. You don't really lose any flavour with it wide open. And that takes me on to my other point about this tank, because I've just set the fire alarms off. It does kick out quite a bit. Really does. Especially for quite a small tank. I think that's down to this. It's not a conventional coil. So instead of it being the standard wraps of coil, cotton wool surrounding or through the middle, you have this little disc type odd thing, like so, with the plates on one side, like that. Kind of reminds me of the notch coils. They came in with the Theorem that Suck My Mod and Wismec made, I believe. They're good, to be honest with you. I did have an issue where I was using it on a Wismec Gen 3. I think the Wismec Gen 3 was a bit broken. It was burning the coils out quite badly, to the point where I was getting maybe 3 or 4 days. This one's been in here for 5-6 days. One of the regulars in the shop, shout out to Andre, has been using this as well. I think he said to me the other day he's going close on 2 weeks, which in a world of sort of smart coils where maybe you get 6 days tops, depending, that's good going. They're not expensive either. They're only £3 each. That's not bad for a coil that's going to last you that long. The flavour's great out of them. They're super easy to get ready to prep, because that backside is so open to all that cotton, and you can see straight through where it will have soaked through, so you know you're good. The only downside to the coils, they go in there. So you unscrew the coil from the top of the tank. Now, it's a bit of a pain. It's a little bit sharp almost. Like you're running your fingers around the threads too. It's not the end of the world. You have to take this little thing off. Obviously that completes it and makes it, grounds it so it will touch, but essentially, new coil, yes. There. So it's almost like a hot plate with some cotton underneath it. And as you tilt, like so, your liquid re-wicks. Top cap screws on. Dead nice and simple that. They are easy to change. It's just a bit of a pain in that they're a bit fiddly at first. Once you get them, once you got the hang of it, it's not going to be a problem. Still, great flavour, and you don't get any dry hits from this. I've not had one. I believe it's probably because you are tilting it and it's constantly re-wicking, and it seems it's very absorbent cotton. So I'm guessing that's. I mean, they're cheap, they're good. The notch coils I hated. They lasted like all of 2 minutes. These much better. As I say, big airflow. Another con, no customizable drip tips. So if you aren't a fan of the bigger, wider drip tips, as far as I'm aware, there's no adapters or anything like that. You're sort of stuck with that one. Doesn't bother me. It's about the kind of size. I'd compare it to maybe something like the top on the Mutation X4, if you guys remember that. The tank's 2mm, again another con. I do quite like the filling mechanism on this. Old tanks, you'd have to unscrew the top, smock, you know, they've got the old swipey lid thing that's always going to be there probably because it's smock. I do like what they've done with the prints though, with the little locking button on it. But this, there is that little pin in the middle. So, on a bit of the old bad drip, all you do, get your liquid and you push against that pin like so and squeeze, and it fills right up. I have found this to be much easier. There we go, nice full tank. I found this to be much easier with the like the plastic nibs. The glass drippers here, I'm not too sure why. It's almost like you can't get the pressure down on the pin. Maybe it doesn't quite make a seal because it is sort of indented like this. Sometimes it floods out the side and ends up down the side of the filling pin, which actually runs down onto the top of where the coil would be, but I've flooded it almost. I'm not sure if that's the correct word, but flooded it almost a few times on the top. It could be a problem. Depends on the kind of bottles you're going to use. Also, I've kind of got the knack for it now. I've noticed if you push down, squeeze the pipette and take it off before you let go of the pipette, or unsqueeze the pipette at the top, I'm guessing it's a suction thing maybe, where you're holding it and if you let go it sucks the liquid back out of the tank. It's basically push, squeeze, lift and then release, and it seems to work. Some people might have trouble with that. For the price, you can get it in 2 colours that I'm aware of. For the price, you can't really knock it. I mean, £28, you're looking at something like 32-ish for something like the Prince. I can't really think of anything that's too comparable to this at the moment. Cheap coils, nice 80-watt output, fits 24mm, fits fine on pretty much any device you're going to be throwing it on. Yeah, it's a good little tank. As I say, I was using it as my daily driver for a good 2 weeks. I recently only just stopped using it 2 days ago because I went back to my Dead Rabbit RDA. I've got back onto the RDA thing. But as a tank, I think on my shelf, I would probably pick this one up first. If I was going out, I'd pick it up. The only downside, maybe, you need something a bit bigger to put those 80 watts through there. It does vapor a bit lower than that, but I think to get the most out of it, you need to be putting 80, 85 through this tank. Usually refrains, you're going to be looking at a double battery mod for that sort of thing, with any sort of respectable battery life. Yeah, and for 28 quid, no drip tips, a bad sign, small tank, but there's nothing we can do about that. Coils are cheap, coils work, great flavour, kicks out the vapour, as my smoke alarm just found out. Yeah, I think for £28, I'd go and get one. The only thing you've got to think about is what colour. Well, that's the review anyway. I'd like to do a quick shout out to my place of employment once again, Mersey Vapor, where I did get this tank from. As I say, £28, not a bad deal at all. The Sky Star kit that it comes with, there's a few different colours for that. That's around the £70 mark, but you do get a dual battery mod, which again, a few different colours, very nice little stealthy fire button on that one. Or you can buy it individually. If you've already got the mod, maybe buy it individually. If you're in the market for something new, kind of sleek, kind of small, it is a very dinky, nice little bit of kit. Maybe think about getting the full kit. But yeah, shout out to Mersey Vapor because, they're great. And also, I did a little Facebook competition on who could guess what tank I was going to be reviewing, and Jenny won. So congratulations, there's your shout out. Good spot on it. You beat some actual staff and some people who do know a lot about vaping, and you were the first one to get it, so well done. Again, thanks for all the likes, subscribes and views on the last video. I expected this to be like a little tiny project. We got something like 200 views on the last video, so I'm absolutely blown away that there's 200 people out there who want to listen to me talk about vaping. And even more so the 30 odd subscribers that did subscribe. It's greatly appreciated, and all I can say is thank you, and until next time, go big or go home.